Okay, so starting on your back or in any reclined position that works best in your body. If lying on your back flat is not comfortable for you, feel free to bend your knees or add pillows, blankets, blocks, whatever helps to help you feel most supported and grounded. And hopefully it helps you to start to come into your spine, focusing on your back body a little bit. So starting with your breath today, take a moment just to check in with your breath. Notice how fast or slow it's going. Notice where in your body it's landing. Notice how deep or shallow it feels. And that's all of that is relative to your normal. So there's no right or wrong. Just kind of noticing what's normal for your body and where your breath feels in comparison to that. Draw your awareness now to your spine. You can keep thinking about your breath too, but focusing a little bit more on your spine. And start scanning from your tailbone, the very base of your spine, all the way to the crown of your head. And if you'd like, you can kind of think about what organs are near each part of the spine as you go. So it's not just the spine, it's everything near it. And you don't really need to be, an anatomy expert. You don't need to know specifically what organ is where. Just kind of following your spine and thinking as you breathe, what part of your body reacts with your breath, or maybe you notice something kind of light up or feel a little warm as you go. Maybe you notice points of tension. Whatever comes up, just kind of allow it to come up. Take another moment to check in with your mind now. Do you notice any difference, even just from when you started class till now, just 10 minutes in? How's your brain feeling? What kinds of thoughts come up? And without judgment, without having to point at the idea or the thought or the emotion and say that's good or bad. Just kind of noticing, seeing if you can observe your own thoughts, your own thought patterns. When you're ready for a little bit of movement, start by just taking your arms overhead on the floor and stretching yourself a little longer. If your legs are out straight, maybe you point and flex your toes. If your knees are bent, that's also fine. Notice as you reach your arms overhead, what effect that has on your spine. What parts of your back lift off the floor? What parts kind of press more into the floor? And then bend your knees, put your feet on the floor, soles of your feet on the floor if they're not already there. Take your feet wide, maybe as wide as your mat, even wider, a little bit wider than hips distance. And then let your knees rock side to side. As you do that, notice what happens to your spine. I really love using the floor here because it helps me feel my body in a different way. I don't actually get to see my back body very often, so feeling the floor behind me kind of helps me to acknowledge, okay, that part of me rotates this way as this part rotates that way when I move my legs. That's what happens to my spine. And now take your knees into your chest, reach your arms around and grab the fronts of your knees or your shins. And take a second to rock your spine a little bit side to side here. Again, it can still be pretty loose since we're just getting started. Doing a similar movement, but now your feet are in the air. So you're, rather than having your feet planted, we've got them up in the air, just kind of rocking side to side. Again, noticing what parts of the spine touch the floor and what parts lift. And now take your knees all the way to the right until they come down to the floor. And you can roll onto your side to start if you'd like. Once you've got your legs on the floor, take your top arm and reach it up to the sky and then start to rotate your chest open away from your legs toward the opposite side. Again, what is your back doing? Where is your spine? Take one or two more breaths into your belly, into your chest, and notice that your lungs are in a different shape than they were before. At the bottom of your next exhale, go ahead and roll yourself back onto your back. And then take your knees the opposite way. So roll onto your left side. Let your legs come to the floor. And then take your top arm, your right arm, and reach it open back to the floor, back toward the floor. It's totally fine if you don't meet the floor too. You can really kind of hover it. How does this shape affect your breathing? And when you're ready, roll yourself back onto your back. Take your hands right behind your knees. And we'll rock ourselves up to seated. If you don't like rocking and rolling, if that's not great on your spine, you can just come right up to seated. If you like it, take a few rocks and rolls, rolling out the spine a little bit. Maybe you take one extra today if you want, one more than is normal for you. And then come right up to seated. And we'll come right over our shins to hands and knees, tabletop. So plant your shins and your hands on the floor. As always, like I do fists because that works best for my wrists. But if palms on the floor is probably more neutral, more normal for the average body. So find what works best in your body. And when you land here, press the tops of your feet and your shins into the floor. Press your palms into the earth. Plug your shoulders into your back. Feel your belly activate toward your spine a little bit. And just notice where your spine landed right when you first came into the pose. Now take a few cats and cows. So cow pose, drop the belly, pull the heart forward through your arms, lift the crown of your head, lift your tailbone away from the floor. And then on the opposite, we'll bring our belly to our spine, round your back away from the floor, tuck your chin to your chest, tailbone in towards your belly like an angry cat. Take a few rounds of this at your own pace now. So cow pose, reach your heart forward, tailbone backward and up. Cat pose, reach the spine up through the body toward the sky. After your next cat pose, come to a neutral spine. And we'll try this once more, the same cat cowing movement, but we're going to go really slow, starting from the tailbone, working to the crown of the head. So start first by just untucking your tailbone, like you're really pointing your tailbone to the sky, like you're sticking your butt out kind of. And then start to let the low back follow. So you're starting to really dip your belly toward the floor. And then your mid back follows. And then right between your shoulder blades, and then the back of your neck and the back of your head all start to lift. And now starting from cow, can you come back into cat? So just the tailbone starts to curl under. Then the sacrum lifts away from the floor, the low back. Then the middle back starts to arch. Right between your shoulders lifts. The neck starts to curl under and the crown of the head comes down, your chin tucks into your chest. And then draw yourself back to neutral. Curl your toes under. Begin to press yourself back, lifting your hips a little bit, hovering your knees off the floor. And then lower your knees back down. Starting to wake ourselves up into working ourselves toward our first downward facing dog. Try that again. Curl the toes under, press your weight backward. Lift your knees off the floor. So you're in this crouch, kind of squat crouch pose. And then lower your knees back down. Come back out of it. Last time, curl the toes under, press your weight backward, lift your knees off the floor, lift your hips, and continue lifting your hips, pressing them up and back so that your tailbone is now higher than your heart and the crown of your head. This is our first down dog, so give your body some time to settle in. Maybe you walk out your dog, bend one knee, straighten the other leg, and then do the opposite. Maybe you keep both knees nice and bent and just let your belly come down toward your thighs a little bit. Think about pressing your hands into the floor, plugging your shoulders into your back. Let your head hang a little bit. Inhale to exhale. On your next exhale, bend your knees. Walk your hands toward your feet. Come to forward fold. And again, we're just starting, so give yourself the time you need to get your body warmed up. You can take a really deep bend at your knees to start if you'd like. If you're feeling pretty warm, by all means, feel free to unbend your knees, start to work into a straighter leg, forward fold, but I'm going to keep my knees bent for right now. Now feel the soles of your feet planted on the earth. Take your feet a little wide. Maybe clasp your elbows and let your torso swing a little bit from one side to the other. Shake your head yes and no. Let your head hang. Notice how this pose affects your spine's relationship to gravity. Can you let your head kind of hang like a pendulum with your tailbone lifting you up and your head kind of extending your spine a little longer toward the floor? If you clasp your elbows, go ahead and let go. Take your palms to your shins or forearms to thighs and extend your spine long now. So coming to halfway lift. Inhale. Exhale back to forward fold. Dig your heels in and roll your spine all the way up to standing. When you arrive, inhale your palms overhead, stretch yourself long. Exhale, palms to heart center. Take a breath here. Inhale, sweep palms overhead. Exhale, open your heart, swan dive back to forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, stretch out your spine long. Exhale, hands down, walk yourself out to plank, knees up or knees down, that's your choice. Inhale. Exhale, elbows point back toward your heels, lower all the way down, chaturanga to the floor. Inhale, press yourself up into your back bend of choice. Exhale, lower, curl the toes under, press up and back, come through tabletop if you'd like, back to downward dog. If downward dog is not great for you today, please feel free to come to knees and do extended puppy instead, or come onto your forearms and do dolphin instead. Take one more round of breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands to your feet. Forward fold, exhale. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Dig your heels in, rise all the way up to standing. Inhale, sweep your palms overhead. Exhale, palms to heart center. Take a breath here. On your next inhale, sweep your palms overhead. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, hands down, walk yourself out to plank, knees up or down. Inhale. Exhale, chaturanga, bend your elbows toward your heels. Inhale to upper dog or cobra, your back bend of choice. Exhale, up and back, lifting your hips. Coming to any variation or version of downward dog that feels best in your body today. And take 2 rounds of breath. On your next inhale, take a deep bend at the knees. Look forward. Exhale, step yourself to the front of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, dig your heels in, rise to standing. Inhale the palms overhead. Exhale, palms to heart center. Inhale. Exhale, palms down by your sides. Check in with your spine again. Now we are fully supporting the spine against gravity, using all of the muscles in our body to hold ourselves upright, which is a lot different from lying down on the floor, where the floor was supporting us. So just begin to notice how your spine feels standing up. For a lot of us, we have some sort of maybe like variation from the normal, quote, normal spine. Maybe one piece turns a little bit more to one side. Maybe you've got sort of an S curve through your spine. So just be aware of how your spine is feeling today. On your next inhale, sweep your palms overhead. On your exhale, right hand backward, left hand forward, and turn your chin maybe toward your back hand to look at your back thumb. Can you keep your hips facing forward as you just start by rotating the top part of your spine into a twist? On your next inhale, come back to center, reach your hands back up overhead. Exhale, let's try the other side. Left hand backward, right hand forward. Look to your back thumb. Notice if you can keep your hips pointing straight ahead still. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, come back to forward fold. Exhale. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, sit back into chair pose. Your feet are grounded. Your thighs and legs are strong. All of your leg muscles are strong. Point your tailbone straight back and down, and then stack your spine right up on top of your tailbone. Everything growing right up out of your hips, stacking your heart on top of your hips, head on top of heart, and then grow your arms into the sky. And that can be at any degree of height. It doesn't have to be right overhead. It can be out in front, whatever feels best in your body, your shoulders. Take one more breath here. Maybe sit back and down a little bit more into your chair if that feels right for you today. On your next exhale, come back to forward fold. Whew, let it hang. Give those knees a little bounce, maybe a little bend and straighten. Release them out. On your next inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale. Plant your palms or just, tent your hands. Lift your right foot off the floor. So you're now putting your weight into your left foot, left leg. And think about balancing your hips so that your left hip is still right on top of your left foot, but you're not swinging yourself out, way out to the left. Think about trying to keep yourself all lined up, nice and stacked. Kick that heel, the right heel, toward your butt and lift your knee to the sky. So you're getting into a standing split. From there, can you extend that foot into the air? Whoo! Activating the back of that thigh. Standing split. Take one more breath. On your exhale, bend your standing leg and reach your flying foot backward to the back of your mat. Bring that back knee down. If you've got blocks, you may want to have them nearby. Books or other objects will also work great, so a stack of books works fine. Come forward now into this lizard lunge. So walk your left foot out to the left and bring your hands inside your front foot. Both hands inside the foot. Take a moment to settle in. If you'd like to bring yourself closer to the floor, go ahead. If you're feeling pretty good, just with your spine, with your torso a little farther from the floor, that's also fine. Thinking about getting some more length through your spine, tailbone back, crown of the head forward. Now, if you did lower yourself, come back up to your arms being fully extended. So your hands are on the floor, spine is nice and long. Keep your right hand down, maybe walk it out to the side a little bit. Take your left hand to your chest, to your heart, and then rotate your chest toward your bent knee, coming into a twist. Now take that top arm and grow it up to the sky. If it's okay on your neck, I want you to think about looking at your top thumb as you do this. So we're bringing our whole spine into the twist. If you can't see your thumb, it means your arm is too far. You got to bring it more in line with your shoulder. Take one more breath here. Exhale, come back toward the floor, both hands on the floor. Bring your left foot back in line with your hip. So the hands are now framing your front foot. And then bring your hips backward, maybe taking your blocks with you, if those are helpful to you. Hips backward, and you're extending the left leg now, unbending that knee any amount. And by that, I mean any amount. So your knee can still be really bent here. If you've extended your leg, extended your knee joint, and now you're just feeling a lot of like sharp, maybe pain or just, discomfort right behind your knee or right behind your hip, bend it and work on getting into the big meaty part of your muscle right in the middle of your thigh. So right on the back of your leg, in the middle of your hamstrings. Rather than just pulling at those skinny little attachment points at your knee joint and your hip, we want to get into the big meaty parts that need some opening in the back of our hamstrings. Your hamstrings might be totally loose, and that's great. I'm happy for you. Mine are not. I need a little more attention on those today. If you'd like now, take that thigh bone and rotate it inward and outward, kind of like strumming along your hamstrings. Take one more breath. And then walk your hands back to the front of your mat, bending into that front knee again. Curl your back toes under, lift your back knee. Put weight into both feet, and then lift yourself up off your front thigh, coming up to a high lunge. Inhale your palms up overhead. Inhale, grow the palms up into the sky. Exhale, right hand forward, left hand backward. Inhale, flip the front palm, reach up and back. Take your left hand to somewhere on your back body. Maybe it's the back of your leg, maybe it's your low back or your hips. On your next inhale, maybe grow that top arm a little bit longer. Exhale back to a regular twist. Inhale, palms back overhead. Exhale, warrior two. So back heel comes down, back foot about parallel with the back of your mat. And adjust however you need to for this warrior two. Find a nice, strong, grounded warrior. Awesome. Hips are what's supporting the rest of your spine. So take a moment to feel your feet on the floor, your legs coming up out of the ground, supporting your hips. From there, follow your spine up to your heart. Rotate your heart toward the long edge of your mat and grow your arms right out of your shoulders. From there, take your chin and turn it forward. So even in our warrior, we've got a long spine, but we've got a little bit of rotation happening throughout. So just start to notice that. On your next inhale, flip your front palm to the sky. Reach up and back, straighten your front leg. Reverse triangle. On your next exhale, come back to warrior two. Inhale, reach your torso forward. Front arm down to the thigh or to the floor, and take your top arm into some air guitar circles. Open up that shoulder. And then take that arm way overhead. So you've got this long line from your back foot to the top of your tippity top of your fingertips out through the top of your hand. On your next exhale, use your belly muscles to come back up to warrior two. Inhale, let's rotate ourselves back into that high lunge. Come back onto your back toes. Reach your palms overhead. On your exhale, bring your hands down to frame your front foot. And let's step back into that standing split if you can. So coming onto your left foot again, standing leg. Kick that right foot up into the sky. And then bend the knee, bring the foot to the floor. Standing again in our forward fold. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Dig your heels in, rise to standing. Inhale, your palms overhead. Exhale, palms to heart center. Inhale. Exhale, palms by your side. Tadasana, mountain pose, Tadasana. Take a second just to check in, settle back in. On your next inhale, sweep your palms back up overhead. Exhale, swan dive back to forward fold. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, sit back into your chair pose. Feet grounded, legs strong, hips stacked right on top of your legs, spine drawing up and out of your hips, arms growing up into the sky. On your next exhale, if you'd like to, maybe sit a little deeper into your chair. Like your chair just shrank. You're in one of those computer chairs and you pulled that lever and you're just like a little closer to the floor. On your next exhale, come back to forward fold. Whew. Wiggle out your knees, let your spine hang for a moment. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, tense your hands. Stand on your right foot, bend your left knee, lift your foot off the floor. Start to kick your heel towards your glute. You're really trying to activate the back of your flying legs, muscles on the back of the leg. Lift that kneecap to the sky, and then extend the leg nice and long into the air. Think about your standing leg. Think about stacking your right hip right on top of your right foot. Inhale. Exhale, bend your standing leg. Float your flying foot toward the back of your mat. And bring your back knee down. Top of the foot can come down. Take your right foot, walk it out to the right. Hands inside your foot. Awesome. Okay. And now again, this is your choice. You can stay more upright, or you can start to bend your elbows, bringing your torso down inside your leg, maybe bringing yourself onto forearms or onto a block. Now, if you did come down onto forearms, press yourself back up to extended arms, so hands on the floor, spine nice and long. Take your left hand out to the left a little bit. Take your right hand to your chest, right in the middle of your chest. Rotate your spine so that your chest is now facing your bent knee. Inhale, grow that top arm to the sky, and maybe take your chin into the twist also, so your neck is coming into the twist, looking up at that top thumb. Take one more breath. Exhale, both palms back down to the floor. Take your right foot, walk it back in line with your hip, and frame your foot with your hands. On your next exhale, pull your hips backwards toward the back of your mat. And we're coming into a half split. I don't like to call it half split because this isn't even close to what a split should look like, I guess. But that's what it's called. So a girl can dream, right? This is my split. This is as far as I'll go. Take a moment to feel out how your right leg feels. Might feel a lot different from your left. If you've got your blocks and you don't already have them under your hands, go ahead and use them if you want to. Again, we're trying to get into this nice, strong, meaty part of our hamstrings right in the middle of the muscles, along the middle of your thigh bone on the back of your leg. And now, if you'd like, you can rotate that thigh bone in your hip socket, kind of turning it like your leg is like a doorknob, and you're just rotating it a little in, a little out. One side of your body might feel a lot different than the other, so just, give yourself that time to settle in. All right. When you're ready, walk your hands back to the front of your mat. Curl your back toes under, lift your back knee. Stand on both feet, so you're putting weight into both legs. And then reach your spine away from the floor, coming up to stand, stacking your spine up tall. Inhale to grow your palms up to the sky. Exhale, left hand forward, right hand backward, twist. Inhale, flip your front palm, reach up and back, and take your back hand to somewhere on your body. Maybe that's your back, maybe it's the back of your leg. One more breath. Exhale, back to twist. Inhale, palms overhead, come back to center. Exhale to warrior two. Back heel down. Check in with where your hips are. Stack your spine up nice and tall right on top of your hips. Centering your heart right on top. Centering your head right on top of your heart. The chest is rotating toward the long edge of your mat, and the chin turns back to the front, toward your front thumb maybe, front hand. Inhale, flip that front palm to the sky. Reach up and back, straighten your front knee. Reverse triangle. On your next exhale, come back to warrior two. And then inhale to reach yourself nice and long forward. Exhale, forearm to thigh or hand to the floor inside your foot. Take that top arm into some guitar circles. Roll out that shoulder. And then reach that top arm way overhead. So from the foot at the back of your mat to the hand reaching out to the side wall. Nice long line. On your next exhale, use belly muscles to press yourself back up to warrior two. And let's rotate back onto our heel, off of our heel, onto our toes of the back foot. Coming back toward the front of your mat, high lunge, nice job. Inhale, exhale, hands down to frame your front foot. And then we'll bring that back foot back up into that standing split. So stand on your front leg, kick your left foot toward the sky, any amount. And then exhale, both feet together at the front of your mat, forward fold. Inhale, come to halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, dig your heels in, roll all the way up to standing. Inhale, sweep your palms overhead. Exhale, palms together at heart center. Inhale. Exhale, palms down to your sides. Mountain pose, Tadasana. Take a moment to check back in. With your body, your breath, your mind. On your next inhale, sweep your palms overhead. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, come back to tabletop. And then lower yourself all the way down onto your belly on the floor. And let your head come down. So maybe you stack your hands right under your forehead. Maybe you turn your cheek to one side. Just find a position that lets your head, the weight of your head, rest downward on something. To get a little more open or a little more length through the fronts of our hips, curl your right toes under. Press your heel back so that your leg bones kind of lift away from the floor a little bit. And then lower your hip, thigh, knee, shin, top of the foot back down to the floor. Try that on the other side. So curl your left toes under, lifting the leg bones off the floor, pressing your heel back, and then lower hip, thigh, knee, shin, top of the foot back down. Take your right knee up and out to the side into this frog leg pose, half frog. I'm just going to adjust my camera so you can see me. So your knee is bent at about 90-ish degrees out to the side. Knee in line with hip, ankle in line with knee, thereabouts. And then press yourself up onto your forearms. So you're in a little bit of a back bend with your leg out to the side. Now bend your other leg, your left leg, so your foot comes backward towards your glutes, your heel towards your butt. If you'd like to opt out of this grabbing of the foot, that's totally fine. I find it to be really nice, so I'm going to go for it. But if it's not working in your body today, that's totally fine too. So take your right arm now, roll your shoulder up and back, and reach your hand backward for your left foot. If you'd like to grab a strap, you can hook that around your foot or your ankle instead also. That's a great option. Once you've got your foot, rotate your chest back towards the floor and lower yourself back onto your belly. It might help to kind of tuck your left arm underneath you or out to the side. And then roll yourself onto your left side so that your right shoulder is coming back toward the floor. Your right knee is reaching back toward the floor on the opposite side of you. Cat pulling its tail. Again, if holding your foot is not a great option in your body, you can just take this as a twist too. So you can let go of your foot by all means. It's not mandatory. If you like this and you want more of it, think about kicking your foot into your hand, maybe pulling your kneecap a little more behind you, maybe pulling your foot with your hand. Any of those options kind of help open up the front of the thigh, the front of the hip. Take one more round of breath. And come out of this the way you came in. So starting by rolling yourself back towards your belly, letting go of your foot, extending your left leg, extending your right leg, and lowering back onto your belly, letting your head come down. Try the other side now. So left leg bends up and out to the side. Inner knee on the floor, inner edge of your knee, inner edge of your foot. Froggy leg. Press yourself up onto forearms. So you've got your knee about in line with your hip, pressing yourself up away from the floor. The opposite leg now, your right leg, bend that foot toward your butt, bending your knee. Take your left shoulder, roll it up and back. Reach your right arm oh wow, did I say right? I meant left. Left shoulder up and back. Reach back for your right foot. There we go. Once you've got a hold of it, lower yourself back down to the floor. Tuck your right arm kind of under you so that it's easier to roll onto your side. And then roll onto your side, onto your right side, so that now your left shoulder is coming back toward the floor. Your left knee is coming down to the floor, toward the floor on the opposite side. Again, take any adjustments that feel best in your body. So maybe that means letting go of the foot entirely. Maybe that means kicking the foot into the hand, pressing the knee behind you, pulling the foot with your hand. Take one more round of breath and really focus on where the breath lands in your body. Putting ourselves into a twist can really affect how our body breathes. And when you're ready, come out the way you came in. Roll yourself back toward your belly, let go of your foot. Extend your right leg. Bring your left leg back down toward the back of your mat. Bring your head down. We're coming toward Shavasana next. So if you prefer to reorient yourself, go ahead and get up and move. If you're okay with just rolling right onto your back, that's great too. Whatever works best in your body, in your space. Take a few moments when you get there to check back in with your spine, with your back body. Start that scan again from your tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head, scanning your spine and all of the organs and muscles and everything around it as you go. As you do that, notice your breath also. Where does it land in your body? What's the temperature? What's the tempo? How deep or shallow? And has it changed from when we started class until now? Maybe yes, maybe no. Take a moment now to check in with your mind again. Seeing if you can be the observer of your own thoughts. Noticing what comes up in your mind without attaching to it or holding on. Can you just notice it? Acknowledge that it's there. Acknowledge that it's a creation of your mind, that it's not you. It doesn't own you. Take another few moments here just to check in with your body, with your breath, with your mind. When you're ready to come out of Shavasana, and feel free to stay there as long as you'd like. But when you are ready, start with your breath, increasing your lung capacity and maybe pressing the air out on your exhales. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Gently roll yourself to one side at your own pace. Let your practice settle in your body. And press yourself up to seated whenever you're ready. Taking a moment to ground your sit bones downward, your tailbone down. Draw your spine up nice and long, all the way up through the crown of your head. Inhale your palms overhead. Exhale, palms together down to heart center. And if you'd like, you can take a little bow to your body, to your mind, to your classmates. Thank you so much for showing up today. Take very, very good care of yourselves.